Godly feminine women are attracted to godly masculine men. Therefore, if you're projecting too many feminine qualities, a femininity, you're decreasing the chances of attracting a beautiful feminine woman. Therefore, here are 5 things you may be doing that are unknowingly projecting a feminine vibe and pushing beautiful Christian women away from you. Number 1, you're projecting a feminine vibe if you're talking about your feelings and your problems too much. Many a husband has been fooled by his wife when she starts talking about her problems, and then he interprets that as an invitation to help fix those problems. He reasons, she must be telling me this because she wants my help. Wrong. Very, very wrong. In most cases, a woman, a wife, is talking about her problems not because she wants her husband to fix them, but rather she wants her husband to know what's going on in her life, because a woman feels loved through feeling known. If she doesn't feel like you know her and you don't, and she feels that way by you knowing the details of her life, then she will feel unloved by you. Now, big picture, a man definitely wants his wife to know what's going on in his life when there's big problems and things like that. But day to day, this type of thing looks a lot different because men generally have a greater ability to compartmentalize areas of their life, where women tend to mix everything together and bleed it all together. So for example, a common example of this is that when a man is having stress at work, he likes to leave it at work. He doesn't want to come home and talk about it with his wife because that contaminates his home environment. Work stays at work, home stays at home. This is how he finds peace. But generally speaking, a woman doesn't have that same method of dealing with stress. If she's having a problem at work, she needs to come home and talk about it with her husband. All that to say, if you're falling for the feminine trap that women actually want to hear about all your little problems throughout the day, then you're going to be seen as feminine. Because some women say they want this type of guy, they say they want a man to act like this, but then when they really do get a man who talks all the time about his problems and shares his feelings a lot, usually the woman starts seeing him in a feminine light because she relates too much to that. She wants you to be a fixer, a doer, a problem solver. In the end, when men overshare about their problems too much, it comes off as whiny and as complaining. Now, is this point more of my opinion than it is an actual biblical principle? Probably so, okay? I fully admit this point is heavily relying on my personal observations that may or may not be accurate. So take this with a grain of salt. I think this is true, but I don't see a strong biblical Bible verse that says exactly what I just said. But I can make the inference that I don't see a lot of men in the Bible talking about their problems so much. Rather, I see godly men in the Bible doing things. Proverbs 14:23, in all toil there is profit, but mere talk tends only to poverty. Number 2, if you're valuing your friendships over your career, you will be seen in a feminine light. Yes, I know this is an unpopular opinion, and I think oftentimes this occurs because in the last generation of raising people in the church, we have taught them that friendships for men are just as important as friendships for women. And in my opinion, I don't believe that's true. Women need friendships more than men need friendships. It's just the way it is. Now, I'm not saying men don't need friendships. I'm not saying they don't need other brothers in Christ. They absolutely do. That's an essential thing all Christians need. But there is a difference between the way women need fellowship with other women compared to the way men need fellowship with other men. I find this lie equal to the lie that a woman's career is just as important as a man's career to him. Women care about their careers just as much as men care about their careers. And again, that is not true in my assessment and for some biblical principles that I'm going to be sharing in a moment. Now, a healthy biblical woman can value her career. I'm not saying it's wrong for her to work or have a career, but when she has kids, her relationship with her work always changes. Now, when a man has kids, his relationship with his work increases. It changes, but not in the way it changes with a woman. When she has kids, her job becomes less important to her. When a man has kids, his job becomes more important to him. Usually, when a woman has kids, her career goes on the back burner and she starts investing in creating a community in her life that she needs as a mother and that her children need to be raised in a healthy environment. And so she emphasizes friendship and community more when she has children and her career goes on the back burner. A man, however, usually stops seeing his friends as much when he has kids and increases his focus on work. And that's biblical because men and women have different roles in the marriage and in the family unit. One of the primary roles for the husband and father is to be the provider. And he needs to be able to do that, and he knows that. And so he focuses more professionally than he does socially, whereas the mother and wife is the nurturer, manager of the household, and she needs to make sure the social aspects of their life and children are being cared for, and thus she focuses more on that, which is biblical. Titus 2:3-5 states, "Older women are to teach what is good, and so train the young women to love their husbands and children, to be self-controlled, pure, working at home, kind, and submissive to their own husbands, that the word of God may not be reviled." So again, I'm not saying that men don't need friends. They do need friends. We need other men. But when you are a man, your responsibility comes before your need for social connection. If you're prioritizing your friendships and your social life over your professional life, then you're not projecting masculinity. A lot more could be said here, but leave it to say, women, if they see you too focused socially on your friends and not focused enough on your profession, your career, whatever it is you're doing in that area of your life, then she's going to put you in the feminine camp, not the masculine camp. Number 3, if you're too concerned with your physical appearance, she will see you in a feminine light. I'm not saying it's okay for women to be too concerned with their physical appearance, and I'm also not saying that men shouldn't be concerned a little bit, somewhat aware of their physical appearance. I hope to do a video on that in the future about men, how we should present ourselves physically, our self-image. But in most cases, a woman's relationship with her image, her body image, is very different than a man's relationship with his body image. So, for example, when you read 1 Peter 3, verses 1-6, Peter addresses this idea of inner beauty versus outer beauty. And he doesn't say that it's wrong for a woman to express herself beautifully on the external, but his point is that the internal beauty should be governing her expression of that beauty externally. She shouldn't be trying to make herself look beautiful on the outside so that she can then feel beautiful on the inside. He's saying it's actually the reverse. Your inner beauty should be expressed outwardly, and it needs to start in the heart. And I think Peter probably addressed that with women, not because those principles don't apply to men, they apply to all Christians, but he probably witnessed women dealing with that issue more than men. And likewise, when you go one verse further in 1 Peter 3, verse 7, he talks about husbands being gentle with their wives. Because usually men struggle with anger and harshness more than women struggle with that. And so he probably addressed that issue specifically with men, even though women also need to be gentle and kind and not harsh with their husbands. But he told men about that issue because that's something men generally struggle with. Additionally, men are more visually wired, and women know this. So they know there's an importance for her to express her beauty externally, because that is one of the ways a man notices her. So when a man spends too much time on his physical appearance, women often interpret this as feminine because they relate too much to what he is doing. Women are attracted to the men they don't relate to in a feminine way because their femininity is so vastly different than his masculinity. Number 4, if you need too much encouragement from her for you to pursue her, you will be seen in a feminine light. Now, if you've been watching my content for a while, hopefully you've seen the many, many videos I've made directed towards women about being inviting. I don't believe a woman has the right to just sit there and do nothing and just wait for a man to find her, pursue her, do everything, and then, sit there and not risk anything. I don't believe that. I believe a woman needs to be inviting towards a man. She needs to respond positively when he does pursue so that he knows he should keep pursuing. All of that is biblical and true. But long story short, in the end, it is the man's job to pursue and risk rejection more than it is than the woman's. So a little bit of encouragement, a little bit of sending signs to say, yes, you should pursue me, or yes, I want you to pursue me more, that's healthy. But if you're pushing the envelope, needing her to constantly initiate everything, constantly send you these signals, hey, just so you know, if you ever pursued me, I would say yes, that is equated with weakness and just not what a man is supposed to be presenting. He needs to be able to risk rejection. When she feels like you're going to shatter into a million pieces if you get rejected, it's a huge turnoff to her. She wants to know you're strong enough to pursue her. Even if she says, no, you're going to be okay, that's actually more attractive to her and makes her more likely to say yes to you. And number 5, if you're not willing to sacrifice for those people you want to lead, then you will be seen in a feminine light because you're not actually leading as a man is called to lead. Men go to battle and they go to war so women can live. When the ship's sinking, the men give up their seats on the lifeboat so the women and children can survive. Although I'm not sure why they just don't put enough lifeboats on the ship. Like, what is with that? I think it's more of a movie thing. Hopefully that's not happening in real life. When you're walking on the sidewalk, it's the man's job to stand near the street if it's a busy street, and so she doesn't get hit by a car if that freak accident did happen. Or when a husband and wife are sleeping and they hear someone breaking in or something like that, the man goes and addresses the threat. If they have children, the wife goes and makes sure the children are okay. A man's job as the leader is to sacrifice himself for those he leads. I'm not saying that women don't make sacrifices. They obviously and clearly do. But when you look at the biblical definition of leadership, it's directly linked to sacrifice. And as we know, in a relationship, the husband is called to lead the wife. The father is called to lead the household. And therefore, he is called to sacrifice. If you're a man who wants to lead but doesn't want to sacrifice, you won't be seen as a real man by real women because you won't be a real leader. If you haven't already, I'd love for you to officially join this new YouTube channel specifically for Christian men. I'm Mark from ApplyGodsWord.com. Until next time, God bless.